Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a Boeing 737 pilot, and on this video I'm going to give you a little tutorial on how to handle an engine fire and engine failure in the PMDG Boeing 737 in Microsoft Flight Simulator. While I tried to keep this as realistic as possible, please do understand that this is not a real-life training video and I have to simplify some things because we are operating in a single pilot environment in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, let's go straight into the video. I'm sure that most of you have already seen my live stream with an engine failure on takeoff in Innsbruck, and there have been a couple people who asked me if I could explain exactly what we do and why we do it. And this is what this video is going to be about. So, let's start by reviewing the general engine out sequence on takeoff. This is what the quick reference handbook says about it. Basically, when the engine failure occurs at V1, we rotate to 12.5 degrees of pitch, and we're going to use a rotation rate of about 1.5 to 2 degrees per second for this. With a positive rate of climb, we're going to retract the landing gear, and at 400 feet, verify or select heading select, and then the pilot flying is going to call state malfunction. The pilot monitoring is going to execute the memory items as applicable. At the minimum flap retraction altitude, we are going to buck up, which means accelerate to the clean speed, and retract the flaps on schedule. At flaps up, engage level change, confirm maximum continuous thrust, and engage the autopilot. And we are going to climb at the minimum clean speed to the MSA, complete the QRH after takeoff checklist, and then we are going to plan what we're going to do, perform a NITS and a PA. So, before we are going to start with this, let's quickly look at what we are going to do in case we have the engine failure in terms of our navigation. Now, for any departure, airlines need to define the applicable engine out standard instrument departure. And these are published in different ways. Some airlines are using charts for them, others simply have it in the performance tool, and so on. However, it is important to note that there is no general publication of those, so these procedures are not defined by the states, but they are defined by the operator. That means in flight simulation we have two very good sources of engine out departure routes. One of them is within Virtual Performance Tool, which is a very close replica to the Boeing onboard performance tool, and this is what we do in my airline as well. If we've calculated our takeoff data like we have over here, and we go down all the way to the bottom, it tells us engine failure procedure, and in our case we are at Düsseldorf Airport departing runway 05 right with a fully loaded flight to Palma de Mallorca, and the engine out departure is at 60 mi from Düsseldorf. We make a left turn to Lima NDB, and we are going to hold 240 inbound right-hand turns. You have the frequencies of the associated nav aids just behind that, so that you easily have them available for reference. Now, if you don't want to use Virtual Performance Tool, there is a free option available as well, and that is the website of my favorite Airbus YouTuber, Blackbox711. And on his website, when you go on airport info and you enter the ICAO code of the airport you're looking for, he's got a lot of airports covered. And we see down here, runway 05 right, acceleration at 1700 feet, and the engine outset is at 5 dmi Düsseldorf, turn left to Lima NDB and join the holding over there. So, you see, different sources, different EOSITs, which is totally expected. Now, for our purpose today, we are going to use the one from Virtual Performance Tool, which is at 60 mi, turn left to Lima, and hold 240 inbound right turns. The MSA in that sector is 2,400 feet, so if we have a quick look, we can get that from the departure chart. We see go straight, then make a left turn, Lima NDB somewhere up here, so MSA in that sector 2,400. The next thing we need to be aware of is our memory items. So, certain failures that are time critical have memory items associated with them so that pilots don't waste time by getting out the books. And a burning aircraft definitely is one of them. So these are the engine fire severe damage memory items. Auto throttle if engaged, disengage, Thrust lever affected engine, confirm close. Engine start lever affected engine, confirm cutoff. Engine fire switch affected engine, confirm pull. To manually unlock the engine fire switch, press the override and pull. If the engine fire switch or engine overheat light is illuminated, engine fire switch affected engine, rotate to the stop and hold for 1 second. And that little dashed line you see there at the bottom indicates in the QRH that the memory items are complete. Some of you are going to notice, hold on a moment, this doesn't say that we have to rotate the switch to the other stop, and that is true because there has been a change in the procedures by Boeing recently, and the memory items end over here because those 30 seconds that you would have waited otherwise are now used to get out the checklist, and then immediately when you complete the memory items it will direct you to rotate the switch to the other stop. So that is what we're about to do. Now, apart from that, once we have completed the memory items and cleaned up the airplane, we are going to read the QRH, and this is approximately where this video is going to go. So let's quickly brief the relevant part of the emergency briefing once more, so that we are familiar with the exact procedure. This, by the way, is what we do in the preparation for, or rather in the briefing for our recurrent simulator training as well. In the briefing room, we always go about the emergency briefing once more as well. So if the call before V1 is keep going, there will be no actions below 400 feet except to cancel any warnings and raise the landing gear with a positive rate. At 400 feet, verify heading select and carry out the memory items. At the MFRA, we are going to buck up and retract the flaps on schedule, and when we see flaps up no lights indicated, select level change, maximum continuous thrust, engage the automatics, then we do the non-normal checklist followed by the normal checklists, IOC, MIDS, PA, and so on. So that is the entire procedure of what we are about to do today. Now, if there is any questions at this point, I recommend to pause the video and either view it again, or just write your question in the comments below this video, and I will try to get back to you to answer as many as possible. However, this concludes the preparation for this video. Now let's arm the failures and actually get into the takeoff. So, for our failures, we are going to do two things today. First one is going to be the engine failure, and the second is going to be the engine fire. So, there are different options in here from PMDG. For example, we have the V1 cut, the VR cut, and the V2 cut. Now, in order to make things a little bit more interesting, we need to understand what these failures are about. If you're using the V1 cut, the engine is going to fail just prior to V1, which is the ideal scenario to practice a rejected takeoff. If you use the VR cut, it's going to fail exactly when you rotate, and if you use the V2 cut, well, it'll fail when you reach V2. So, since we want a scenario in which we are going to continue the takeoff, we are going to be using the VR cut for this one. So let's say engine number 1, VR cut, active, yes. Be aware that PMDG does currently not have any speed-based engine fires, so we need to play a little trick up here. And therefore, what we can do, a takeoff run in the 737 normally takes roughly 30 to 45 seconds. So what we are going to do, we are going to arm the engine 1 fire, we're going to insert it at 60 seconds. Okay, I guess it wants to hear 1 minute, then please take 1 minute. And the moment we execute this, we are going to start this 1 minute timer, so that's when we have to execute the takeoff roll. In the meantime, okay, I'm standing on the runway so long that I've emptied my center fuel pumps. So, let's quickly make sure that we are completely ready for our takeoff. And we are. So, sit back. Remember those procedures, remember those memory items. And then I'm going to execute the failure, and from now we have 1 minute. Okay, timing. Let's go. Stabilized. Set takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. $80 knots, checked. V1. Engine failure, rotate. Okay, 12 degrees of pitch. Positive rate, gear up. So for now, we just do nothing. Below 400 feet, no actions. Okay, 400 feet. Heading select, state malfunction. We have 0 and 1 on engine number 1, engine fail flag showing, 0 and 2, and we have the engine fire switch illuminated. I would say it is a fire in engine number 1. Okay, fire engine number 1 is confirmed, engine fire memory items. Auto throttle if engaged, disengage, disengaged. So, engine start lever, engine number 1, confirm. Number 1, confirmed. Close. Engine start lever, engine number 1, confirm. Confirmed. Cut off. And disregard that gear warning for now. So, engine fire switch, engine number 1, confirm. Confirmed. Pull. And if the fire switch is illuminated, it is. Rotate to the stop and hold for a second. Okay, we're at the MFRA. Buck up. Flaps 1. Speed check, flaps 1. And we are passing the 6 DME. Let's turn left towards Lima NDB. When you're operating in a configuration like we are right now, where you are below the flap speed for the next flap setting, then be very careful not to exceed 15 degrees angle of bank. Okay, flaps up. Speed checked, flaps up. Okay, let's use the moment and take Lima NDB into the legs page. That is going to make our navigation a bit easier. I've put it to the end of the legs page already.
Plus 100.
Oh, don't sink.
Minimums.
Don't sink. And now we have LNAV available. LNAV. Okay, flaps up, no light. Level change. Set max continuous thrust. And increasing thrust on the number 2 engine. Okay, max continuous thrust is set. Then engage the automatics. Monte. Okay, and here we go. After... Go! Engine fire, non-normal checklist, my radios. Now we can get out the QRH and start with the engine fire non-normal checklist. I've opened it here for us already, and the first thing we can see is we are just below the memory items here. So if high airframe vibration occurs and continues after the engine is shut down, that is not the case for us. So isolation valve switch close, close, pack switch affected side off. This causes the operating pack to regulate to high flow in flight with the flaps up. So the left side is broken, pack switch off, engine bleeder, APU bleeder switch off, choose one. APU is available for start, or APU is not available. It is available. Okay, APU start. When APU is running, generator switch affected side on. Okay, so let's stop the climb here in 4,000 feet. That... Okay, intercepting 4,000, let's quickly thrust on single engine is normally somewhere in the region of about 70 to 75% in order to keep your airplane flying. So if we are on speed, as we can see right now, 70% works pretty well. So let's go ahead with the checklist. When the APU is running, APU generator switch affected side on. Now be very careful here. We're currently operating on the left autopilot. So that means if we now switch the left side on, the left bus is going to be unpowered for about a second. And that causes the autopilot to disengage. So let's switch to Command B. And here we are, switched over. And now we can put the APU generator on the left side on. Okay, now that the left side is on, we can go back to Command A. And now we are flying right on that. Okay, balance fuel as needed. So let's see, to make sure that we don't have a fuel leak, let's have a look at the fuel gauges. And the right engine is the engine that's running, and the right fuel quantity is lower than the left quantity. So that means these indications make sense and we don't suspect a fuel leak. So to balance fuel, open the crossfeed, observe the valve going bright then dim, and then the low side must go, which means the pumps on the right side are going to be turned off. So right side is off, master caution fuel associated. Transponder mode selected, TA only, and this prevents climb commands which can exceed single engine performance capability. If wing anti-ice is needed, isolation valve switch auto after the fire has been extinguished. Now the fire is extinguished, but I don't see us needing wing anti-ice at the moment. Then plan to land at the nearest suitable airport, and that is the engine fire severe damage separation non-normal checklist completed. So, with that complete, we can now go ahead and carry out the after takeoff checklist. But with one difference, we are going to leave the engine start switches and continuous. And what this does is it will keep the electronic engine control powered. And by having the electronic engine control powered, we can avoid some nuisance master cautions that would otherwise appear. Okay. And with that, we run the standard after takeoff checklist. And now we have to decide on the further course of action, however that is going to be for a different video. So, this is how you handle the engine fire on takeoff in the Boeing 737NG by PMDG in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I would like to thank you very much for watching, hope that you found this one interesting and that you learned something. Now go out and try your own engine failures, and you are going to see that this is going to open an entirely new world in flight simulation to you. But this is going to be it from my side. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to support the channel, you can become a channel member, which is going to give you exclusive access to pre-release videos. In first class membership, the ability to request your own videos. Or if you don't want to become a member, then you can always support me with a one-time donation using the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again very soon.